All right, welcome to Quarantine Check-In. My guest today is the host of the wonderful show Neapolitan Ice Cream. He also plays violin at the Comfort Zone every month when it was happening. Please welcome Joe Aasim to the show.
Ooh, hi everybody.
What's going on, Joe? How are you coping?
Oh man, I'm making it. I like the first, it's what? It's like May now.
May
This
1st.
started, so I got food poisoning on my birthday, March 8th, right before my birthday, March 8th. And kind of took myself out of commission for some stuff I was going to do. Like, all right, I'm going to chill. I'll hit it hard next weekend. That Friday the 13th, it's like, nope, we're not doing anything. And I feel like I've basically just been taking a nap since then. Like I tried to catch up on sleep. I'm pretty nighttime oriented now. I get pretty easily like I don't like, what do I have to go to sleep for? What do I have to wake up for? Um, but I'm pulling out of it. I think it's one thing to like we all have kind of had an idea of what to do for like a show, or to like have, to sharpen the blade, so to speak. That looks real different when you can't go places.
It does. It does.
um, but there's a whole nother wide world of like, I don't know, like I'm not like I didn't grow up with TikTok. I grew up watching like the internet grow up. So like communicate only by I met my ex-wife on IRC. Like,
Hold on. I never knew you were married before.
oh yeah, that was real.
Wow.
Um, yeah, we met before computers had mice.
Wow.
So like the idea of doing, it's like similarly, we didn't have like digital transcription for music when I was coming up playing music. Like I had to write all the shit by hand. So now having like tools like Tinder where you're like, oh, I can just swipe and see like images, and they're all put together the way I want, and words and all this stuff. Like there was no Photoshop growing up for me. Like you had a good vocabulary, and that's how people thought you were older, or like you could type quick enough, and you were just believable because you were just text on a screen. Now I can do this. Now I can hold your image in my hand with both my two hands and go, like, there's a real different thing that goes on. Even like I caught a couple like online shows, and I've caught, that's one thing that has been kind of keeping me semi coherent with the timeline of our current reality, is like I've done a couple, like, there's folks like doing, like, seeing you do the check-in, seeing folks like the Big Time Garbage folks do their nightly kind of like stream situation. Hosted a sex ed show with Colleen McDaniel the other day. That was a really fun thing. And like I think for me, I flex a certain bit towards comedy because I was able to make a place for the thing that I wanted to see happen over at KO Gallery. In a digital space, it's kind of like, I don't know, it hits different.
Yeah, I think comedy has to be different when you're doing it online.
Yeah, like there's this thing that happens when like there could be an infinite number of possibilities of like people that show up at a show. That an open mic lineup could be impossibly long until the dice show up. Like at a virtual, or like at a thing that's on a screen, you can control every aspect of it if you want, from what the background looks like to who even gets in the door. And I think it took a while for me to recalibrate from like, or it's still, I mean, we're going to always be recalibrating, I think, for a while, but like to be like, okay, like I can still make a lineup of people happen in an order that I want, and I can also like, and it will be a thing worth doing. Like I think that was a big part of getting Neapolitan going was like, oh, this is a thing that I was like worth doing because, where in the metro area can you find, mainly queer folks doing karaoke after their comedy set. Now it's like, oh, you have the whole internet where like not only can you find probably some, at least two of those three things, you can probably find those people naked and fucking too. Like,
I'd watch that show.
right, exactly. Now not only are we, now it's like, oh, there's a lot of shows in Detroit's popping off. We got all these shows going out, Detroit, Hamtramck, all over the place. It's like, yeah, the internet's a real popping place for live streams right now. We've got some comedy. We've got a couple clowns fucking each other with stuffed penguins. We've got like,
while the comedians are telling jokes.
Yeah, while as your Zoom background while you're telling jokes.
Yeah, I would totally watch that. I got to figure out how to do that.
Right. And I think while having like one person on stage on a time is like a pretty, we have all these like regular formats. There's a host, and then there's a feature, and then there's like a headliner. And now it's like, yo, if you are one of the three, like the show, the sex ed game show we did with Colleen, and it was Colleen, Bridget Murphy, Diana Graham, and Asia Marie Hicks. Like everybody, like you have to kind of be, if you're on like a show with multiple people, you are like the laugh track, or like there's all this added kind of narrative or like infrastructure burden to be the other person, to be like part of a group of people on a show if you're not the one talking, or if you're like in the room somewhere like adding to whatever the person who's speaking is saying. Like that's like there's all these kind of like secondary weights and roles that aren't just like butt in a seat, you laugh when the person's stops for the laugh line. It's like, yo, you're like passively listening to making sure everybody's like audio sounds good, and like just the way people talk, like you're naturally talking, it naturally becomes like, unless you're already like a DJ or somebody who's like used to broadcasting to like 50,000 people on my phone, wee woo, it's like, the tone is more, I'm gonna tell this real, like I know it'll make these three people laugh really hard. Or like you could get a joke that will hit for three people, and chat has to like it because look how hard those three people laughed. But also there's no light, which is the thing, as somebody who's had to become very light conscious, or kind of depends on cues. I guess you can set, you can always set your own, that's the thing now, you can set your own whatever you want parameters for anything. I got Bluetooth earbuds the other day, they're charging right now, that will tell me my heart rate every 10 minutes.
Crazy.
Do you know what that will do for you in the middle of sex?
I don't want to know.
I don't either. Like I'm just trying to find out. Like
you're going to die.
I'm gonna die.
All right, this will be a good way to go.
Like now I'll know my target heart rate zone, so that I can like, hit the little button in my ear and get a verbal reminder. You are going 180 beats per minute.
That's a funny.
Your pace is right.
If it says your pace, she or he will be going, go faster, go faster. No, like
you are almost to your target heart rate zone. You are almost to your, and then like the song comes in, whatever, like pre-programmed music when you hit like 182 or some shit. Wow, 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 wow. You got like some like corny dubstep trap thing that goes on. Like, oh god, I was about to come, dude. God damn it.
I think my song would be the Carly Rae Jepsen song, "Call Me Maybe."
Sorry, say again. I actually did throw this at my ears.
The Carly Rae Jepsen. It's such a good song. It's so catchy.
Yeah, right. Like, oh, it is Friday.
That's Rebecca Black.
Oh, that's Rebecca. I'll be honest, I would not be able to tell the two apart in my bedroom.
And one is Rebecca Black.
Ah.
Yeah. So, I gotta tell you, I like your Neapolitan show, though. it took me so far out of my comfort zone to make me sing.
It's one of those things that I've been trying to figure out how to port to. Part of the reason I really liked it is that you could show up and I could just do it and have all the problems solved, and like it'll sound good and have everybody's shit loaded up. And I like one of the very first subscriptions that got like off the list was Carafun. It was nice to be able to take places, but you can just do it all. I like now I for sure can do it all with YouTube, or with like generated links. But yeah, it was one of those things where like busting into the game or busting into anything, you just want to like, I just wanted to have a thing that was new or was different, or that like, you know, wasn't exactly, here's an open mic and you sign up at 8:30 and you want to see the guy with the flannel by the door and your lady in the back, she's serving drinks all night long. Like, I don't know, put some sauce on it. The show name itself actually came, and then there was an intentionally diverse like nature of it. Neapolitan ice cream, haha. It's like, you know, people as flavors, which I think if there's any sort of non-binary framework for like, I don't like the tolerance word, but like realizing that some people just don't like asparagus and that's like their thing. It's like, hey, you know, there's probably some part of Neapolitan ice cream that you'll be into. And like a good friend of mine who is a DJ, I haven't said her name on stage a number of times, and so you can hear the full bit for the true genesis of the story. But she, very tall black lady DJ friend of mine, said one night, you know, hosting a great party, out dancing Contaragas will happen. Gets on the mic that sweltering summer evening at the Old Miami and says, "Joe, I see you out there dancing. Go find us a blonde girl and let's make Neapolitan ice cream tonight."
That's
on like full PA.
The follow-up question, you know, for my journalism integrity, did you guys make Neapolitan ice cream?
You know, it wasn't that night, but eventually. You know, goals I didn't know I had.
That's always been a goal of mine. I have not gotten there yet.
You know, out the other side of this COVID stuff, I think a lot of folks, like, I had a friend who, like, you know, was stopping by to get a little care package, yeast flour, that type of stuff. And I hadn't seen, you know, she'd been isolated, I've been isolated. Like, hey, do you want a hug? Like, hey, you know what? I like gave somebody a hug and like almost got hard, like immediately. Wow. I was like, all right. I gotta like we gotta like. I'm just saying, people will probably be more open to more different things out the other side of this. A lot of folks will probably be like, you know what? Fuck it.
I'm waiting for that day. I am. I will sing that U2 song, "Glorious Day" or "Beautiful."
Oh, you know, someone's probably into it. Like somebody out there is like, you know what? I didn't mind that album on my phone.
It's a terrible album. There's no such thing as a good U2 album. But I'll sing that song.
Yeah, I'll listen for it.
I'll even sing with Bono. Collaborate with him. It's not funny.
You know, you got to pick your zone. I thought you did, you know, I forget the exact punk song that you did, but it was, you know, I feel like everybody's zone is kind of different. It's, first of all, it's striking to me because a number of stand-up comics like have not done the show that I've asked to be on the show, have like paused or kind of balked like fully at karaoke, which to me is part of the like, is like, oh, you'll go skydiving but you won't jump off that cliff, like kind of like interesting risk management style, but I'll fuck with it. I think you know, there's a certain thing that happens when you get at like, you know, secondary talents, like comics by nature have at least one secondary talent. Otherwise, how are you still telling jokes? Like if that's like all you do, I don't know, maybe there's some comics out there that's all they do, but like, you know, everybody's got like other stuff going on. For, you know, a show that we were going to try and figure out at the gallery had a lot to do with talents and stuff, and who knows, maybe we get a virtual version going on.
Well, the longer this goes on, I think we're going to have to.
Right.
So what made you want to do comedy? Because you seem multi-talented. You're a musician, you're work on bicycles.
Yeah, I do. I think part of it for me is having. So I grew up in a weird place. I grew up in a place I call like not just the Sunshine State, but the birthplace of premises, Florida. I think it's like, I don't know. I talked to somebody else about it being like the other day on like, it's funny, like meeting people on calls now, like seeing somebody is just like, oh, I see you square on the, and even still it's like, oh shit, you're from Florida too. Like weird shit just happens. Like, I don't know, there's something that's always been a little different or off in some way that when I figured out it wasn't quite regular, it made me wonder what regular was, and like, and how to create like a vantage point for that without that type of experience. And then over time, you know, you survive enough of these things. Part of it for me, at least, was like a taking of narrative. Like having been asked, like I've been asked where every brown person, whether they're comic or not, has "Where are you from?" bits. It's, you know, easy to just go off and like let it tilt you and let it like this, you know, like, you know, the idea of like pinball machine tells us you just fuck with it too many times and it doesn't want to, you know, there's a little level deal and it, you know, doesn't want to work anymore. It locks you out. Ball's gone. You go through enough of that and you either like, you know, you either hide up in a hole or there's something that you figure out how to do differently. Like I TA'd one improv class in college. I was out of nowhere asked to help teach a not the funny improv class, the improv class, the like improv as a tool for social change, like how to say no to drugs and keep your friends, like, you know,
I have a question. How do you say no to drugs?
You say so the full question is, you know, how to say no to drugs and keep your friends. You know, the snarky answer is you just say yes to different drugs that don't let you do those other drugs, or that keep you removed from doing those other drugs. Another way is like, you know, a lot of this was in a college environment. It's like, oh man, I really would love to just like stay up late and rail heroin all night, but I have like, you know, I've got to meet this weekend and I'm on scholarship, so I can't, you know, I want to be able to blow rails and like, you know, freebase all these drugs with you next weekend. So, but I got to make sure I'm still able to, you know, be in school for that next weekend. So I'll get you next weekend, boss.
I don't know. It's sometimes when I was younger, it was really hard to say no to drugs because I don't know if you know this, but I wasn't cool and I desperately wanted to be cool. And from what movies have taught me, drugs make you cool.
You know, even drugs will make you think that drugs make you cool. It's a concerted effort. I, you know, this is like, I didn't grow, I think I had to grow into like having friends and learning what that meant, but I'm definitely grateful for like having. So first off, I was helping TA that class when I didn't have any friends. Like I was like freshly, like I mentioned, freshly divorced right out of that life, and I'd been in school for a few years, and the way it came to me was not that I was like, you know, the funniest person on campus. The the teacher saw me basically just getting racially bullied and like talking shit. And like someone said some like, basically Orientalist East, pick an Asian, ching chong ding dong, slur at me. And I was like, just classic rejoinder, like, look, dude, I'm never gonna fuck you because you're racist. Like, which, it takes one identity slandering and kind of turns it on its head. It's crude, but effective of a certain sort. It's not transformative, it's more defensive, but it is like, for like a young person to do that unprompted, I think speaks to a little bit of what a lot of folks go through on a daily basis, and a lot of like the potential for that material, especially now when it's like I got like no small part of having hair here is that I have all this hair here, right?
I'm very jealous of how much hair you have.
So when I go to the store now with like the mask on, right? Like it's entirely wildly easier for me to get yes ma'am until I start talking.
Oh wow.
Like I don't even have good eyelashes. Like all those pictures, that's just an Instagram filter. Like I don't know. It's just like a whole nother realm of like, I don't know if identity is just a costume anyways, if gender is just a costume, if clothes are just a costume, like now that there's like a protective and like an actual reason for like mask and costume, like shit, what does your mask want to be? Like, let's say your mask can be anything possible. What would you want it to be?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
I just
want a mask that'll keep me alive.
Exactly, right? I think that's how a lot of people think about gender and identity. I just want one that will keep me alive. In this case, we actively know who the people that are, which fucking blows me away. But yeah, I think it's one of those things where like, now I have, where, the bit in the past would be like, I don't know, where are you from? Oh, what's your budget? Now it's like, now I get to frame not only the where are you from, but what your budget is. Like I can put right on the screen, like, hey, if you want me to be from big country, this dollar amount, smaller country, this dollar amount, or insert country name here. Specific region of smaller or larger country, this dollar amount, and just run my whole OnlyFans situation, like stonks through the roof.
So you have an OnlyFans page like I do?
I think it's probably similar. I don't know what yours is like because I haven't been there yet, but I imagine it's similar.
It's just me reading books.
Yeah, I've got bedtime stories. It's funny how we have all these old modes of media basically born out or kind of transfigured through our current constraints in technology. Like reading a bedtime story or sitting around the radio, right? Those are all things that get done differently now. But we have a really, like, a lot of folks don't remember sitting around by the radio because it was never a thing that they culturally did, but that used to be a thing.
I remember doing it in the 1930s and 40s.
Right, right when, Enrico Marconi, right when the radio came out. But like, you're seeing people doing like storytelling stuff or like just DJing live. For me, one of the storytelling things, bedtime story things I'm trying to do to like a broader audience over this, includes this great volume, The Mammoth Book of Historical Erotica, discovering the arcane depravities of the pharaohs of ancient Egypt, the unquenchable lusts of classical Rome's ruling elite, and the excesses and magnificence of the Inca Empire.
Wow.
I've yet to get to the Inca one, but it's a good 500 plus pages, 500-ish pages of stuff with, what are some of the titles in here? Absolute fucking legends. The Prescription by Carol Ann Davis.
Oh yeah, that was probably a good one.
Wet Nurse of the World by Val Weston.
Oh, Val Weston, yeah, the Wet Nurse saga is phenomenal.
Classic. The Brilliance of War of Dreams by Michael Hemmingson. That guy definitely fucks.
No, I don't think so. I think he gets off on his writing.
Anything through a hole in the sheet. They just didn't say it could be a sheet of paper. Gwendolyn's Fate by Allison Manning. 2 L's, 2 N's. The Naughty Nuns of St. Sulpice.
Man.
The Ballad of Scott and Zelda. You might think Zelda fan fiction, Link fan fiction.
I thought it was Fitzgerald and his wife Zelda.
The answer might surprise you.
I would love
so I don't know, that's just like a random book that was around. But if you find, I think in the day and age of like intentional contact all the time, like there's no like, oh, I just ran into some, or like there's like running into people, but there's like maybe you oughtn't. There's like a whole nother set of like semi-intentional social apps where it's like, see who's using the app at the same time you are, send a message that they can only see when you're done sending it, and you can watch their live response, or all these different ways to like try and invoke like mirror, mirror on the wall, show me literally fucking anybody else. Like, please to God, show me another human being so I don't go like nuts.
Exactly. I look out my window and see people walking. I try waving, and then it's creepy.
Well, it's all creepy now, right? Like, isn't it creepier if they wave at you inside your house?
Or when you're watching TV, they just you're in the window, give the thumbs up, watching something good tonight. If you
like
nurses, I should probably close my blinds at that point.
Right, just like clawing at the window, like clack, 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 clack.
That's funny. So let's see. How long have you been playing violin? You're a really good violin player.
I've been playing the violin. I won't say which side of 4 decades it is, but it's very near 4 decades.
Okay. My mind is blown right there.
Yeah. You would round to 40 years, okay. I guess right now. You would round it to 40 years.
Okay.
It's been a second. It's one of those things where I didn't realize I had gotten like there's tricks your parents played on you, and then there's tricks you find out about later. Like, there was never gullible written on the ceiling, except for me, it was like, oh, there's like this VHS tape that goes around our family of apparently on my mom's side of Yo-Yo Ma and Itzhak Perlman on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Okay.
Great episode. I remember it very vividly from my youth. I should go back and see if it actually is what I remember, so that I'm not like too brainwashed.
It's on the you can find it on you.
Oh yeah, exactly. And like I would go on to like take a class with Itzhak Perlman later at Interlochen in like young adult life. Got the opportunity to take a master class when I was at Interlochen with them, and that was like,
that's pretty fucking cool.
But this whole episode of Mr. Rogers is like, he's like playing the saw or like household objects, making like making a small violin surrogate out of a Kleenex box and a paper towel roll and some floss, cutting a hole in the end, sticking it in, doing, kind of tuning floss, so to speak, while playing a song. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I want to do that. I'm like, 2. And then my mom's like, excellent, yes. Now I have, not just a babysitter, but a babysitter that babysits you, and gets you something out of it, because my mom worked. I didn't meet my dad till later in life. Met my dad, like, I think I want to say maybe 6 months after I met Alejandro, after I met my twin brother.
What?
Yeah. Again, why you asked the beginning, why would you start, what got you into comedy? And again, this isn't normal for folks, it turns out. A lot of stuff wasn't normal. You survive all that, you get a different perspective that just, you either sound high all the time or you get high all the time. But like,
you didn't meet your twin brother until
high school.
Wow.
Well, into high school, a couple years into high school.
That's crazy. But you knew he existed.
Not till maybe like 8th grade, like 9th grade, maybe.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the plot of The Parent Trap, where you guys
Yeah.
later. And did you switch places to try to get your parents together?
No.
Nothing like The Parent Trap.
It was like The Parent Trap in that we met at camp, in that sense. Or like we would like that would be our first like meeting was like orchestra camp to go overseas and play with like International Youth Symphony. But he like grew up in a different place, has like, I mean, he has a whole family. He has like a whole family. You know, he's married.
Wow.
My brother and I could be like more different people. Like it's apparent when we like hang out, but like there's a phase where he was like, you know, gluten-free, vegan, has a husband, and I'm none of those. I don't have any of those things.
But you're a vegetarian.
No, I'm full of bread, full of fucking dead animal.
Wait a second. I was at one of your shows where you brought vegan pizza.
Yeah, because vegan pizza tastes good. You know what else tastes good? All pizza.
I can't have pizza.
No.
I can have cheeseless pizza.
Okay, that's doable. That's doable. Is it dairy?
I have a dairy allergy, and it's weird. Like the cheese substitutes gross me out because I can't have cheese, and I just can't eat it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's ways, and it's definitely a tricky one to. You know who does Pie Sci Pizza? Shout out Pie Sci. I love my friends at Pie Sci. They do weird enough stuff that they've had like. They do like a cashew cheese pizza, but they've had a couple in the past that were like done in a way that didn't have like the shrimp and grits pizza. I feel like just had like a remoulade situation, but I guess I would have dairy in it too.
There was a place in Minneapolis that had mashed potato pizza.
Ooh, they did Thanksgiving pizza. They did a Thanksgiving with mashed potatoes and gravy this year or last year.
That sounds delicious. So let me ask you this: how do you think comedy is going to change when we're kind of going back to normal?
I don't think we go back to normal. I don't know if it's that radical of a thing. I think we get, or it's like, you're a comic book guy. You remember Crisis, or oh gosh, I don't want to mix up my crossovers. I don't think it was Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it's the first DC Marvel crossover event, right? Where they did the whole Amalgam Universe. Yeah. Amalgam Universe, where they do the whole write-in thing and pull everybody to see who wins type of deal. And like they fight it all out, but at the end, you know, one universe is gone, yet neither survive. One universe remains, yet neither is yet both are eliminated. Both survive. I think it's that kind of situation. I don't think we go, I mean, in the sense that we could possibly go back, or like even in the Infinity War sense of like, how do you figure out how to get back? You know, it's always going to be a repair situation. Like in Star Trek, they talk about, I think, I forget if it's Picard or Riker, even LaForge, that talks to Data about unfolding a creased piece of paper as like a thing with the temporal prime directive. I think with us, like we have all these frameworks for like Octavia Butler is an author I think a lot of folks look to for hope or otherwise. But like I think we get a different thing. I don't think it's going to be, or like if the goal, we're in a goal setting phase right now. If we're in a problem posing phase, the problem that we're posing is like, how do we get to do the thing that we did before? Which like the thing that we did before was making people laugh in front of an audience. It's not the structures for that to survive this will have to survive us, will have to be necessarily agile. It's going to look, and it's not going to look like, and we're in a pretty binary society where it's like, oh, flick of the switch. No, we turn it back on, which is like, we turn it back on and win the war, which is not the framework for public health. Like, the framework for public health is you make your bed every day and then it looks sweet. And then, eventually you can, you've done your homework enough times that you can go outside. Or like, I think we get, or like work both ends towards the middle from a comic or an audience member's perspective as one individual who's been staying inside. The performer wants to figure out, is already doing the Zoom stuff or is already doing a lot of virtual stuff. And they're getting maybe even more people. That's the thing, is like you can have real serious access to metrics for this. So I think we're going to see people start, bookers especially, venues especially, start to, whether it's a brick and mortar place that's struggling or that's trying to do the whole get back thing, I think you'll find a lot of natural alliances between venues and people running digital shows that will start to happen. And I think audience members similarly will start to find the people that they want to see if they don't already know them. Will start to find their ways to support those folks if they haven't already. Put your Venmo on the screen. Here's your digital tip jar, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of folks I've seen already are doing their like paid for Zoom rooms. They've got their access going that way. I think it starts as like I think it comes back in phases. Like we get viewing parties. Like it'll probably, if we were responsible, we'd tell people, here's your charted way to get back into like fully saturated. I can go like hump a random stranger at a bar during a dance party, like, venue status. And part of that is like you go from seeing, the people that you've seen now, which is for some people is as little as 1 to 3 to 5 people maybe, to like seeing, picking 2 to 5 more people who have also been similarly isolated that you can see. And then those are the first people that you can like uptouch. There's this whole scaled way of like how to reintegrate or recirculate human beings back into one another. I think your small pod group hosts a viewing. I think you see, if you wanted a scaled version, I would get people to host viewing parties. I think comedians, the way movement builders and a lot of community organizers do, finding your champion in a community to advocate for your cause. In this case, that's an audience advocate. That is, that might even be your friend, the comic, as audience advocate. That might, finding somebody who's like, hey, I want to get like 5 to 10 physical people, like Demolition Man style, like with fluids, to sit next to me and watch this thing in this place where we can all be safe. And then as that scales up, you'll see outside stuff from a distance. You might get spaced people in a park. You're going to find it's all going to look like a brand new thing and seem, if you can, I think for a lot of comics, as somebody who is newer to the game, who is more versatile and agile than like, I'm getting through on the strength of my 10 hours a day writing. I think it's all going to look different and feel innovative. But I think that's the nature of the beast, right?
I think you're right, but I think you're missing a step.
Yeah.
We're going to try to go back to normal as fast as we can, and stupidity is going to prevent that, and that's when your idea will come into play.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, for sure people will do that. Yeah, I definitely left out the part where we fuck it up. But like, we already know what fucking it. We can, we wrote the Dr. Seuss book of how to fuck it up. Here's 501 rhyming ways that we can fuck it up.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. We fucked it up huge in 2000.
Oh, but there's more. There's digitally licensed content for this. There's dynamic new levels of fucking it up we can do.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
We become the kings of fucking everything up.
Yeah. So like, yeah, we'll run, the $1 fuck it up a day club. And yeah, I think that will happen. I'm trying to, it sucks seeing like being in like a place controlled by idiots in a variety of levels, because I don't know. I grew up in a medical, grew up playing the violin, grew up doing musical stuff. But my mom works at a hospital. My mom runs a phlebotomy lab at a hospital, and I was the juvenile blood draw that all those lab techs got to learn on.
Oh God.
So not only does clinical stuff not scare me, I lean into it, and I'm not, and it's I imagine that doctors fielding patient questions is more than lawyers, I think close to professionally dealing with hecklers that in a field. Yes, certainly service industry folks. But I think doctors specifically, because they have an investment in getting the job done right. Wait till I get to the end of the joke. Hold on. Okay. But that they do inevitably want to get the person better, that they have an inherent attentiveness that gets paid. And so many folks gloss that for me, when I was, even as a kid watching lab students try and find a vein or be fucking up, realizing oh right, this is the time where I should act like a regular child and not just I'm watching them too. Oh yeah, this is where I should be wah wah, I need a sucker, not well, are you gonna do it or what?
I'm like that when they draw blood today. Give me a sucker.
Give me a sucker.
So I just gotta go. This has been great. I gotta start wrapping this up.
Yeah.
Wrap it up. The only way I know how, by reading a Craigslist misconnection.
Oh yeah.
I have been finding a lot of people are very creepy online.
Oh yeah.
And if you can riff a snide comment or a joke off of this one. This was written from Dearborn, Michigan 3 hours ago. Called I Miss You So Much.
Oh.
It's been a long time since you talked to me. I was a fool to treat you like I didn't care. I tried coming by. You weren't home, and I am still afraid to see if I was blocked. I'm very sorry. Please find in your heart to forgive me. I can't take it anymore. You are my best friend. Your life is constant with energy, with laughter and positivity. I miss that. I miss being around you. I have been such a mess. I gained a lot of weight. I realized you were the only one in my life to ever care. Nobody asked me what's going on, and nobody cares to know the truth. You always help me, and you are right. Maybe I took you for granted, but please give me another chance. It's been over a decade of friendship, and now you go off, and just okay. I sent you a dozen emails. I message you nonstop, and you don't answer me anymore. Like old times, let's get a coffee and go for a cruise. I miss everything about you. I miss your music, the way you laugh, and how contagious your laugh always was. I am sorry. I am sorry for never understanding how much I was going to lose. My life is one huge mistake, and you carried me with your light. I just couldn't leave that dark place. I couldn't change my routine, and I let my ego talk down to when all you were doing was being real, giving me honest advice, tough love, what a true best friend gives. I doubt you will ever see this. If you do, please know I am sorry. I just want us to be the best friends again. And this time, I will never take you for granted. I can't stand this life without your support. I didn't realize how much I depended on you to make me happy. I haven't smiled or laughed genuinely since that one awful night when I let my pride crush the last bit of care you had left. Please give me a chance, please. I should have read that one more thoroughly before I was going to make a joke out of it.
No, it's okay. You said the key at the end. This was somebody's best friend. And I thought about this from the beginning. We have this all, a lot of times we see these in the misconnections area of Craigslist, assuming that somebody, this is somebody I ran into at the mall or, in passing. This is the guy. I feel bad for this dude because this is a dude who at the beginning of quarantine or the beginning of whatever stay at home shit, got drunk and gave away his dog. And can't for the life of him remember where, or like maybe just like left it at a friend's house, but like this is a guy who really, really misses his dog. And I get it, it's a man's best friend. This is somebody you want to spend a lot of time with, that you create a friendship with, but like, buddy, you got to keep your dog on a leash.
Yeah. And you don't take your dog on cruises.
Yeah, there's laws about this. Yeah, it's on cruises.
Yeah.
No way. This is the type of guy who will go to the dream cruise this year is what I'm trying to say. Like,
I don't think there is a dream cruise this year.
I wasn't sure if they'd full canceled it because I stopped paying attention when I was just like listing off random shit I thought wouldn't happen, and people were like, "Well, really? They canceled that already?" I was like, "Oh, I'm not trying to be I don't want to be I don't want to be a jackass about it if they're gonna do it, but also fuck the Grand Prix being on Belle Isle and taking too long. They can do it better, or like." So I was like, "Oh man, I should have said for the Dream Cruise," and somebody posted a link like, "Oh no, it looks like they still plan on doing the Dream Cruise." But if they're canceling it, I wouldn't be surprised. Also, it falls in that weird valley. Am I surprised if they cancel it? Not really. Am I surprised if they don't? Similarly, not really.
I don't see the appeal of sitting down for hours and hours watching cars go by.
Not even fast.
No, because there's traffic jams.
Right. I get flack about this in the cycling community, but I love the Dream Cruise. I love visiting the Dream Cruise on my bike and just riding right through all these classic cars and watching all the owners recoil in horror, like, "Oh God, don't touch my car! Oh, don't give it!" We're like, the exact same dude would definitely have like revved his engine at me at a stoplight. It's just the type it's the type of event. It's a rare one where I feel like as a person on a bike, I get the respect, dare I say, fear that I deserve.
Yeah.
I could scratch that guy's car.
And you know what? Maybe you should. Maybe. I'm gonna end this on a weird story. So my brother has been married twice, and his first wife's father collected classic cars.
Ooh.
His first wife's father was a dick. Like a dick. And I was living in Atlanta, and I came home for Thanksgiving, and I don't watch football, I don't watch sports. So I was watching Mystery Science Theater 3000, and he came in and forced me to change to football. So at the wedding, I got really drunk, and I decided to piss in one of his classic cars.
Oh, yeah! Oh, what a juicer! I love it.
Yeah. Well, man, we're gonna end on that note as I reveal.
Hell yeah!
Secret. Thank you so much for being on. Tomorrow's guest is Alex Rawlick. I don't know if you know Alex.
Oh, hell yeah!
And Joe, thank you for being on here. Hopefully, I'll see you sooner than later. And
yeah, you can catch me all weekend. I'll be doing this thing, the Deconstruction Project. You can find out about it at thedeconstruction.org. You can see me live later on this evening and all weekend. Twitch.tv/it's project time.
Well, I'll take a look at that tonight. Thank you so much, Joe, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, Robert. Have a good one.